Welcome back, Amir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today. We are recording part two of our remote sensing project. In part one, we kind of went over the landscape of the underground facilities, what the history is, and how that connects. Today, we are actually going to take a look if there's facilities in these underground locations, how many, what they do, what type of work they do, how they work, what's the deeper story behind these places and who's there or not there. So that's today's objective. And this is not traditional remote viewing, it is remote sensing. So Amir does know the locations on the map because we need the locations and we're going to go traveling and see what's there. So I'm going to share the map, and this is the same map as from last time and continuation. And this is the United States, and all the states have been marked with the names, and the red dots represent the locations which potentially might have underground facilities of human nature or other type. So we shall start with, what about Nevada, if that's okay with you? Um,
Of
what is
course.
called Area 51 and Tonopah, those two areas. Can you see that okay?
Could you move the mouse around, please?
Yes, I can even zoom in a bit more. Let's say these two locations. Here and here. Can you see that?
Yep. Okay, so um, first things first, um, the map is it is old.
Mm-hmm.
What actually occurs now has changed. Some of the sites are still in use, but the nature of it has changed.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of the conception of the map, we had many different branches operating with great independence. Seems now they've all been brought under a single unified um, type of management. They're their entire branch um, pretty recently, so talking about the past 15 years. All of them were brought together, whether they liked it or not. And so it's been decentralized and centralized. Centralized under uh, unified management and oversight, decentralized in terms of the locations where advanced technology is being researched and fabricated or produced. Certain corporations that are in charge of more conventional um, weapons development and research are brought on board. Um, the cost of each one of these vessels is mind-boggling. Eventually, a fleet of 150 is planned for the next decade or so. And so far, we have in the order of under 40 vessels. So they are massive, massive ships. Different systems are produced now with looser restriction in terms of improving efficiency. The modern industrial production system of efficiently organizing the flow of raw materials to the production of subcomponents and then final assembly has been greatly streamlined. One of the ways that the security is maintained is very strict compartmentalization, as in projects are broken up into minuscule sub-projects, with the only limitation being that it should be possible to put them back together again. And many researchers, including universities and many graduate programs, focus on different aspects of these systems, some in theoretical physics, some in engineering. The end result is not known to the, let's say, the academics who, with great delight, accept the money and they throw the best and the brightest of their students to have a go at these projects, resulting in monumental growth. So this was a great idea. Whoever thought about it deserves a bonus. So the Area 51, this is a famous one. So much information has come out with lots of whistleblowers, many witnesses. Again, the location was conducive for the development and testing of early conventional aircraft. But then the remoteness of the area was conducive to more secretive projects. This was early on in the Cold War, before the emergence of satellites, spy satellites, where overground research then became impossible. And so only the most conventional and mainstream activities remain on the surface. And the ability to construct vast underground facilities has increased and has been perfected. So anything that would be of a, let's say, more exotic nature would have been moved underground late 1960s. And then in the, let's say, 2000s, the management would have changed significantly. There was great resistance, great upheaval among certain branches that had enjoyed autonomy for many decades. But eventually they came on board. They had no choice, by the way. They were not left with the option. And so this unified management has increased the efficiency and speed of development. So the number of dots on this map does not sufficiently represent how widespread this exotic non-Earth-based technology truly is. It has made its way into the corporate structure. They were one of the great forces, and I really mean force, pushing their weight in all ways, including Congress and influence on members of the military, the high echelon, high-ranking members of the military, the political system, to get this information proliferated. Of course, they do benefit from this. It has guaranteed the survival of many corporations well beyond a single century. So they have products ready to go. The research and development is all complete. The only limitation is the natural resistance of the general public to technology that is too advanced, which is good. So they get to drip feed what they already have in store for the next, say, 2 or 3 centuries. That's not a bad business proposition.
Mhm.
But then the efficiency, the aggressive efficiency of the capitalist system has resulted in monumental growth. And so now, as a species, an Earth living human species, we can hold our own. Even this small number, around 40 vessels, these are formidable by any measure. And so I believe that this is a positive development. Uh, Many of the initial interactions between humanity and um, non-Earth-based beings was out of desperation. And so they agreed to terms that were highly unfavorable and unethical. Now they are at a position of strength where older contracts can be revoked towards more honorable and balanced interaction. We are no longer the weaklings, the helpless ones. We can hold our own. And so, in that sense, the result of this multi-decade consolidated effort has been very positive.
And how are these 40 vessels made and how are they powered? What's the power sources for them?
There are a number of different technologies used for different modes of operation. So, including the ability to take off from the surface of the Earth. For fine-tuning movement, thrust and Newtonian laws are used. The mass of the vessel can be significantly reduced or nullified. So, electrogravitics, this has been perfected. This is also employed. And then we have the use of relatively advanced portal technology. Still, this is not a, let's say, intergalactic level of portal technology, but that has been worked on as we speak. So within our own solar system, or within a reasonable amount of time, given the correct provisions, we can also access. Let's take a look. So we've got a major access in 6 neighboring galaxies also. The problem of the survival of humanity has been addressed. If something goes wrong on Earth, mankind exists elsewhere. So that spark of life will not be extinguished. This is brilliant.
And so some of these vessels, do they use different types of warp drives, plasma drives, or anything like that?
Yes, within the third dimension, the dense physical reality, um, the mass of the vessel can be nullified. So still we have unbreakable laws of the universe like momentum. So more traditional types of thrust for maneuvers and acceleration within the third dimension are used. But then the ability of bending space-time through higher dimensions or borrowing a tunnel, connecting two coordinates or overlaying them upon each other, this does exist, which makes for amazing, um, um, which facilitates amazing combat tactics,
Mhm.
popping in and out from different coordinates almost instantly. This
Mhm.
is greatly a result of reverse engineering Pleiadian craft, which are not very complex Pleiadians have had the privilege of uninterrupted evolution, but in terms of tenacity and ingenuity, we are far superior. It did not take us very long to figure it out, so to speak. So that has been similar to the Roman Empire. This is the way we still operate. We make things our own, add our own flair to it, and benefit from it. So
Yes.
this type of anti-gravitational devices are widely used. So the mass of the vessel is, for all intents and purposes, nullified. So great acceleration can be achieved. There are still limitations to what can be done, and that is due to the limitations of the human body. Acceleration beyond a certain limit is fatal. And so much is done now towards more enhanced shielding technology. The laws of physics are here to stay, so they cannot be eliminated. Ways of bypassing them or avoiding their effects have been studied for many decades. These seem to be much more complex than the utilization of anti-gravitational devices, electrogravitics.
Is to go beyond the human issue of of the G's of the gravity, you have to do the warp bubble technology around the craft so it could smoothly travel through hyperspace. So crystalline technology really helps with that, and plasma.
It's still, that is now an entirely different league or order of wisdom. Our species has the capability, but yet it seems that in the more sort of in the larger picture, our way of behaving, it is still primitive. So certain technologies are sentient. They have a sentience and consciousness to them. It is beyond, let's say, mathematics and physical laws and mechanical properties of optimization and construction and so on. So these have not been utilized sufficiently yet. It requires a change in the way we operate, in the way we see ourselves as a species, our place in the infinite cosmos, how we conduct ourselves, not just towards others, but also towards ourselves. The great inequality that exists among humanity is a shame upon every single human. The fact that hunger and thirst still exists. So I'm not being poetic here. This is observed before certain technologies are made available to certain races, and so we have just become. We're just now able to spread our wings and leave boundaries of the cave. We have discovered fire, and so we are no longer starving. But that's a lack of self-control to our base nature and our shortcomings. This is a major problem. A greater advancement in technology will not occur before major advancement in terms of spiritual awareness. This is a very real and hard boundary. There is no way around this. And this is not just a restriction applied to humanity. The vast majority of species that interact with humanity in a negative way have also hit this hard barrier. And they have been at this game of reverse engineering and accumulation of technology for far longer than any government on Earth. We are the newcomers in this game, and yet they still have not managed to find a way around organic and divinely guided evolution. And on the other side of this hard barrier, we come across beings that have sufficiently evolved. They have also gone through these rites of passage. It seems when a species becomes ready, certain things become available with zero effort and zero resistance. We are not there yet.
Hmm. Agreed completely. So that seems to be a hub. Tonopah, Area 51, Nellis Air Force Base, and the Proving Grounds, all of that is part of where they've gone deeply underground. From what I understand, Area 51 has 52 levels of base facilities underground. Going through from here to Tonopah and widespread in Nevada. So that place is called the Black Desert. So it's like the perfect place to test, reverse engineer, shoot down other exotic crafts from other beings off planet, and even to shoot down their own electrogravitic craft and see, take notes. This does operate great. This does not. We need to build on that.
Correct.
So it's kind of like
Correct.
the central hub of the testing, and regular public cannot get there. So it's the perfect place to do the magic,
Correct.
so to speak.
Correct. Correct. Now, with the larger vessels, the ones that are, let's say, part of the fleet, an interesting property emerges when when portal technology is implemented. They can be shifted of out of phase, so they still exist within the boundaries of, let's say, third and fourth dimension, but they become, for all intents and purposes, invisible and silent. And so the need for these types of locations to keep them away from curious eyes and, let's say, bypassers, this has gone away to a large extent.
Mhm.
So the craft that are observed, these are probably, as you correctly mentioned, they're testing some other characteristics of it. How would it fare against, let's say, regular air defense? What is their weakness? How can they be improved? How easy is it to train a pilot to operate them? So now they're really, really fine-tuning stuff. And of course, with such experiments, things always go wrong. That is the idea, that they're looking for what can go wrong to enhance it and perfect it. But with the larger scale vessels, these can easily basically fly above a city without casting a shadow or making any audible sound. They can be observed with a full spectrum imaging device under certain conditions, but again, that can be fully bypassed if the location of the vessel is shifted to a greater degree out of phase, moving out of physicality completely into the fourth and fifth dimension. So again, mm, the need for these types of centralized locations underground has greatly diminished. So not just with the, let's say, research and development, the manufacturing and final assembly have has it been basically proliferated and spread um, in a mind-blowing fashion. Um, but many more people are now aware of this. We do have such a thing as industrial espionage. So imagine even let's say a company that's manufacturing a mobile phone. They have their own industrial secrets. And so as decades have gone by, they've become incredibly efficient at protecting and safeguarding the results of massive investment and enormous work. So the infrastructure really is in place for more exotic types of devices to be created. One can be working in a lab, and two labs down the hallway, they're working on something that is completely non-human, and all the staff go to the same cafeteria. They know better than to talk about the research. So we are more capable of bringing more people on board. So
Uh,
this is great. This is more brain power, using the genius of humanity to a greater capacity. And so it's resulted in accelerated growth in all areas.
yeah, well, this is the testing and the reverse engineering. A lot what I just from my sense here, R&D, the science, the labs, these places are very hot. Can we have a look at these three
Oh,
then?
absolutely. A lot more is occurring now. Let's say Southern California,
Mhm.
Arizona, New Mexico, and also going into Mexico itself. So this is now there we go. There we go. Now this is somehow Texas is not quite populated as much. I'm not getting much from there. So it's New Mexico, Mexico proper, Arizona, and Southern California. Um, there is a legacy, a human legacy of technology, some of it Atlantean, some of it far more ancient, involving portals, or let's say stargates. There are certain hotspots on the surface of the planet which have always been of monumental interest to all ruling classes. So we see a snapshot of these in the North American continent. Another hotspot would be the west of Asia, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. And looking at those locations, it seems that they have an effect on the consciousness of everybody living around. So the birthplace of almost every single school of thought or religious modality seems to be the west of Asia. Also now including, of course, the north of Africa, Egypt.
Mhm.
So that is another, let's say, hotspot for these ancient portals. Some of these, they cannot be moved around. But so having proximity to these portals will give them access to where the portals go. And of course, observing how they are put together gives them a hint or an idea of how they operate. You mentioned crystal technology. Without exception, all of them implement some form of this. So this is a legacy of a much more elevated human civilization, even beyond what the Atlanteans achieved. And so the materials, the designs are made to be indestructible. Time does not diminish them. They do not react with chemicals. They cannot be mechanically destroyed either. Something very unique is available to us. And so these have always been a source of great interest. There are others which are non-physical technology. Now, these occur in many locations. So again, looking at New Mexico and Arizona, portals that are non-physical. These seem to be gateways for many, many different species. And by the laws of this reality, they require a human custodian. So many locations, let's say Stardust Ranch, that name comes to mind. Uh, Very much so, an active portal, and all sorts of different species use Earth as a transport hub from one part of the universe to the other. And so they seem to operate completely above and beyond the politics of humanity and the species interacting with humans. It's like you have a airport in the middle of the Amazon, You don't really care what goes on in the forest. You don't care about the politics of the jungle. Your airplanes come and go. And so this also occurs. Quite a lot of, let's say, non-human activity is of this nature. They look at Earth and have a relationship with Earth that really does not involve humanity. They could not care less either way. Things
Mhm.
that disturb their peace, like nuclear experiments. And so they make sure that doesn't occur by any means necessary. So, yes, this is also another part of the type of research that is going on with great interest, but it seems to still elude us to a great degree. The limitation being levels of consciousness. Now, with no moving parts, there's no buttons to push, there's no subcomponents to reverse engineer. It is a solid piece of something, and it interacts to the consciousness of, let's say, the user. And so if that level of awareness is not present, the device is dormant. And so much effort has been done trying to simulate artificially this level of sentience, not just by humanity, by many other, let's say, pirate species, to no avail. There is no way around it. You cannot fake levels of evolution, rank as a soul, levels of consciousness.
Mhm.
However, many among the general public do reach these stages of evolution
Mhm.
organically. It is time for humanity to achieve these levels. So I think the next century is going to be monumental and in the most positive way.
Mhm. I agree. Can we have a look at these three locations? What happens here? Because I know here in this location, there's Edwards Air Force Base, there's Lockheed Martin, there's Northrop Grumman. Lockheed Martin has Plant 42 in these areas. So this was PT Irvin. This is 29 Palms. This is called Chocolate, and there's R&D. So this seems to be a concentrated area of something important. Can you have a look what they do there?
Everything and anything occurs here. Now, although certain types of technology are mastered, they are um, not reproduced and created in large quantities. And what prevents this from occurring is cost. The cost is mind-boggling. Even a nation with the wealth, natural resources, and highly educated population like the United States could not create sufficient numbers of these to be used in regular warfare.
Mm.
So after all these decades of consolidated effort and endless and limitless budgets, what was actually possible is under 30 motherships, 30 large vessels. Smaller ones here and there, they are used in conjunction with the larger craft um, for things that do not involve the politics of nations. But then every now and again, certain advancements become economically viable to use within, let's say, regular military technology. And this happens very frequently. So a certain, let's say, object or device is handed down to more old school and mainstream contractors, and they are lovingly told, have at it. Have at it. See what you can do with it. And so it's like a little gift from the heavens. Much advancement is done, and so this is then trickled down into the mainstream, ensuring that the technological superiority of the United States is maintained. Other nations usually are playing catch up.
Mm.
There are others with similar access to these types of exotic technology. Not many of them, probably two other nations. Now, this also reflects in their level of advancement. Uh, so, yes, China and Russia.
Mm. Of course. And what do they do here off of Catalina? It seems to be a hot spot. Vanderburg.
This one. So there's the proximity to the ocean. Um, again, by controlling the flow of traffic. So again, commercial routes are like highways on the ocean. It is not random. So they have areas where there is minimal legal traffic, and they are very strictly patrolled and guarded. So this is where the presence of the ocean is critical. So certain types of craft can interact with both the atmosphere and the water. So that type of testing goes on. Again, in terms of the integrity of the structure of the craft and testing defensive capabilities like energetic shielding, nothing works better than, let's say, a mile of ocean above you. If there is the slightest weakness, this can be identified. So it would be interesting looking at a map of the ocean floor to see what levels of depth are achievable. That's the critical thing here. Certain areas may give you access to unusual depths. That is what they are looking for.
Mhm.
200
And
atmospheres, 300 atmospheres to simulate impact of a weapon, but also the general competence of a shield.
and do these crafts have FTL engines, plasma, or drive similar to what is developed in Nevada, or is it different?
These are different. This is fine-tuning the technology. So maybe an experimental craft is created, and there's just the one, and it is absolutely equipped with whatever is needed for the purpose of the experimentation. But the objectives are very strict. They're there to test certain characteristics. So this is where this type of thing happens. So not very large vessels. The results of what is discovered then will trickle down into the next large scale vessels that are manufactured and also basically implemented in the older ones. There is a modular approach to these vessels. Entire sections can be removed, replaced with others. So the way they have been designed is very logical, keeping in mind that they are going to stand the test of time and they are going to be in service for many hundreds of years. So mm, durable materials are used for the main shell of the vessel itself. So the greatest advancement in material sciences, composite materials, much of what is available now is a trickle down from the original, let's say, research gone into these vessels. And then later on, they find their way into, let's say, military aircraft. Originally, the machinery is not available. It is very expensive to make. Slowly, it becomes cheaper. It makes it into, let's say, commercial aircraft. different types of boats, different types of, let's say, armored troop carriers and so on. Eventually, down the line, it makes it into, let's say, a regular Mazda or Ford or whatnot. So here, the ones that are closer to the ocean, it would be interesting just to have a look. If I may open up a, let's say, Google Maps, because we might be able to have a look at the surface of the ocean. So,
Yeah, on your end,
first of all,
yeah, on your end,
yes,
if
yes,
you
yes,
open it up and have a look, because I have to
absolutely.
maintain this thing.
Of course, of course. So, zooming out. So, North America, we've got California. Let's get the satellite image. So let's have a look at depth. It seems outwards from around Tijuana and
Mhm,
San Diego, short, a small distance offshore. We get off the continental shelf and we've got sufficient depth. I don't have access to, say, oceanographic
mhm,
information. Mm, And then we have, of course, Hawaii. So
mhm,
between a straight line between San Diego and Hawaii, a little bit
mhm.
going down towards the Gulf of California, right? All this a little bit out of shore.
Yeah.
Now, especially mm, um, Tijuana and going down now into the Gulf of California. Any bases in this location will have access to deeper ocean locations,
Mhm,
especially now inside Mexico.
mhm,
So, with the rise of ocean levels, much of the landmass would have gone and become submerged. So, um, but the deeper parts where we just leave that continental shelf and we have deep waters, this would be of great interest.
mhm. So that's what you call USOs, where it could be both water-based craft and
Right, right,
air-based.
right. Correct, correct. So they're testing the shields.
Mhm,
Um, it's so much cheaper, you see. It might be possible to create equivalent force, localized force, using some sort of hydraulic press, but that is just localized. Or maybe it's possible to hook up, let's say, 10 or 15 nuclear reactors and juice up a sufficiently large field generator to exert pressure. But I mean, why do that? Why burn so much electricity? Well, when all you need to do is dive 100 meters under the surface, and voila, you've got the exact same amount of force. So it's the development of shield technology. Sometimes they pop out and another branch of the military is doing a drill and they scare the hell out of the pilots. And so sometimes they mess with them too. Uh, Play catch, do a little boop and then disappear.
mhm. But it's still ours, just a little bit more advanced,
Correct.
of
Oh, yes.
course.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a hotbed. Like this stuff is a hotbed for that being reported all the time, that kind of activity.
Correct. 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 There's so much going on. I mean, so much of all varieties. It's got good proximity to the rest of the industrial base of California.
Hmm.
And many of the corporations that then are subcontracted to integrate this into mainstream commerce and the manufacturing of products, they're nearby.
Hmm.
So it all makes sense. And so California is an amazing place. Energetically, the presence of ancient portals, the beautiful weather, and now, of course, this military, industrial, scientific concentration of wonderful people. So it's where everything's at,
Yes, and there's supposed Telos Mount Shasta
of
going
course.
where the Telosians live. The ancient remnants of Lemurians went underground after Atlantis sank and built a huge network of a huge city plus Agartha and Inner Earth portal to Inner Earth right there. And smart Telos and crafts coming in and going.
Yes.
So,
And many of these, let's say, technological portals predate the Lemurians also.
mhm,
So they also came across it, figured out how to use it, at least sufficiently advanced members of their society, but it predates them also.
mhm. Yeah, I just wanted to address that up top because it's so
Oh,
obvious.
yeah.
And then this Arizona has portals, this has a lot of portals, some facilities. I wanted to go to this whole area here because it seems to be very, very active. Like you have R&D Denver, you have Colorado Springs, and then
Oh,
you have
yes.
Delta, like this whole area. What do these guys do here?
Okay. So looking at the map, the most interesting feature, because again, this all comes into harmony with the land, with the earth, or the geographical landscape. So there's a mountain range coming down from the Great Lakes, Chicago, coming down between Illinois and Indiana,
Mhm.
um, the Mississippi going through it. And so we've got elevations or mountain ranges here.
Yes.
That would be the key feature for selecting these locations. Um, Defending a mountain is incredibly easy. Invading a mountain range is virtually impossible. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. It's the death place of every single major empire.
Hmm.
French, British, the Soviets, and the Americans didn't have a nice time there either. It's just because of these natural geographic features, mountain ranges, and so on, that makes defending it incredibly easy and capturing it virtually impossible. Plus, it's right in the middle of the heartland of the United States.
Hmm.
So this is the let's say the inception of choosing these locations. They're defendable. Now, this is looking way ahead of time. And so
Hmm.
this occurred during the height of the Cold War, years after the end of World War II, where many of these generals coming home were still alive, remembering the difficulties of going through mountain ranges in the Alps, how it's almost impossible to touch a country like Switzerland because they're mountainous. And so they
Hmm.
thought to themselves, hey, that's a wonderful idea. Why not do it here? We've got plenty of mountains. Oh, look, it's right in the middle of the country, too, so nobody's actually going to make it to the foothills either. So this is just playing it really safe. It's going to be impossible looking into probable futures. No, these are never going to be conquered. So
Hmm.
the thinking was correct.
And it's
Uh,
also the place of
Please,
NORAD in Cheyenne Mountain where it's a
of
public
course,
facility, it's
of
underground.
course. Yes, yes, but many, many such facilities. So again, using a mountain, it's like you already have an incredibly resistant shield above you, and then at the base of the mountain, you start digging.
Hmm.
And so this is clever thinking. So the geography is used to the advantage of the security of the facility.
Mhm.
Now, it's almost impossible to use any sort of earth penetrating radar either, going beyond certain substances. Sometimes closer to the surface, there may be pockets of oil and gas, and so that kind of technology is used. But going through um, miles of very dense rock, this would add additional security, making it future-proof. So you've already got a whole mountain or a mountain range above you. The entrance and exit can be easily obscured. Checkpoints can be put into place, making sure that no sort of, let's say, espionage occurs. So that's the reason of this cluster of facilities um, in this location.
And do they reverse engineer crafts of exotic nature, or what do they do?
Again, yes, in a decentralized fashion, ancient portal technology is present. And then, of course, because of the geography and the lack of accuracy of older, let's say, missiles, they just had to miss by 100 meters and the entire base would be intact. So much of the primary and secondary offensive capability in terms of nuclear weapons are placed here. They cannot be touched. So that mutually assured destruction is a constant, and they're maintained at great expense. So a lot of it is that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But again, certain test facilities do exist. So again, Colorado is a hotspot as shown in the map.
Mhm.
New Mexico, this is now more of the ancient stuff. I mean, billions with a B, billions of years old. This gives rise to the potential of some pretty interesting events and interactions with more advanced beings. Um, the portals are here and we are the locals. And so, for the most part, we are an interesting species, but greater interaction is not initiated yet. We're too young.
Mhm.
Interesting, and we've got good potential, but as long as we're not a problem for anybody, nobody seems to bother too much with us either.
Mhm.
These are guarded against, let's say, um, non-Earth-based use.
Mhm.
So the results of every decade that passes is humanity gaining more of its sovereignty, the expulsion of the pirate species that would have free reign. Now, this seems to happen over and over again in human history. What really brings it down is the scheduled extinction events every 10 to 12,000 years. And once we are wiped out, then the pirate species can come in and regain strongholds, get access to certain facilities until they are expelled once again. And so this is what's happening at the current time. A greater exertion of sovereignty by humanity and the revocation of older contracts which were basically agreed to at a time where we were at a position of weakness. So this is the major thing about these central locations. So research and development, of course, not very suitable for the test of the performance of large-scale vehicles. So spotted laboratories here and there, but most of it would be very ancient stuff that is just located there.
Like Dulce, Taos, and Los Alamos seem to be
Oh
big
yes, Los
ones.
Alamos is of course the Los Alamos is and that this would be even superior to what is happening in any location in California. Exotic devices, advancement in physics, and it is pretty open source. So it's a very badly kept secret. It goes beyond the head of many people. They just would not understand what is being published. And it's available not through the dark web either. It's got an actual web address, URL you can type in and read lots of their papers, which is mind-blowing. So loosely kept secret, and so trickling down into the mainstream. So merging two different worlds together, but
Mhm.
also using the ingenuity of us mighty humans to advance certain areas beyond its original capacity. So making enhancements to technology that is foreign to us.
Mm. So what kind of exotic devices do they work on and do at Los Alamos?
This is now theoretical physics, particle physics, application of waves, radiation, electrogravitics, also research into biology, everything and anything that is of value occurs here.
Mhm. And what does occur at Dulce and Taos?
Well, of course, we have the strategic location, the fortification, because of the geographic features. But many of the, let's say, acquired craft, beings, and technologies are brought there. So it's where the long process of understanding begins.
Mm.
So these facilities are superb for this kind of thing.
Mhm. They seem to have a network from here to here, branching out of facilities that are interconnected and do that kind of stuff at these branches.
So again, this is an old representation. They would not need the traditional, let's say, roads or highways. Creating tunnels also is an older paradigm of thought. Again, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of miles. What they would be using right now would be similar to what is built into the motherships, the vessels. So they would have the ability to transport entire containers, large volumes from one set of coordinates to the other.
Mhm.
So they can, for all intents and purposes, be completely self-contained, self-sufficient, without any visible, let's say, roads or any, let's say, power lines going in to give away their exact location. So it seems that let's say transportation and communication is now taking advantage of a lot of what has been understood and learned, and it has become part of what we are, what we own.
Mm. And then, like you were saying, Texas, I'm not sure, is there anything here that in Denton 908, is there anything in these two locations that is important to know about?
So let's take a look. So more flat surfaces. this would be suitable for basically testing larger vessels, long runways, and also underground hangars, monumental scale. So this is basically suitable for that kind of experimentation. Dry weather. Let me see if I can find Denton.
It's like a huge Air Force base. It's like a cog Denton
Yeah,
908.
yeah.
It's very famous.
Yeah, so experimentation, let's see the natural terrain. Yep. This also seems to be rugged and mountainous. So the same logic would apply for, let's say, any sort of fortified underground facility. But again, yeah, so experimentation of larger scale vessels. Also super fast regular aircraft. This would be a good place to do that kind of investigation and experimentation. So similar logic to the other central locations in the middle of the, let's say, landmass of the United States. This benefits from the same type of topology. So resilience against any sort of attack or invasion. So what I'm getting from this place is the testing of the next generation of, let's say, conventional aircraft, but testing of more exotic types of propulsion and devices also. This is now also linked to the motherships or the large-scale vessels. So this is a significant location.
So a lot of transport, a lot of movement, of moving things around.
Well, naturally, yes, but there seems to be testing of more experimental and cutting-edge devices here that are being prepared to roll out, but again in subcomponents. But it's not like the let's say the coast of California, where smaller devices are used. The end result is tested here. So everything is put in together, it's all the final product, and then they test it on the real thing.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And what do they do in this region of, we're now kind of this is Oklahoma, so we're going from to Hutchinson, this one, then we're going to Tulsa in Oklahoma. So this facility in these two, what do they do there?
So a lot of what is shown in these illuminated red locations is now distributed. So by decentralizing it, they have added many layers of security. So let's see. Above Texas and now looking at Oklahoma. So then, of course, we've got the same, let's say, central mountainous region. So the inception of any sort of facility would benefit from the terrain. It seems that this is prevalent in all of these sites. So resilience to any sort of, let's say, missile attack or air attack. This is of paramount importance. especially with the legacy of the Cold War. Now, as that has been, so after the 1990s, that diminished a bit. But now security is achieved through basically um, increasing the number of sites. Instead of one centralized location, you have thousands of little components that are connected to each other. So again, mm, the actual nature of what will happen, these change as one project is completed, other stuff comes in. So with the exception of, let's say, locations in New Mexico um, and let's say Arizona, also Mexico, these where ancient portal technology is planted and it needs to be in that certain location. The remainder of these projects would have been moved around pretty much decades ago. Um, some of them are still unknown, but the ones that would be identified would be moved around, with the exception of the technology that is, let's say, planted and installed in certain locations in the earth. So they would continue as regular, let's say, military bases with their functionality, all mundane duties. So the ones in Kansas, so Kinsley and Hutchinson,
Yes.
I'm not picking up anything super exotic from these two sites. Now, Tulsa, Oklahoma, this is different now. A great legacy of this type of research and development, also biological research, non-human biological research. And then coming down to the spot, which is Denton, again, large scale craft, motherships, gigantic vessels, larger than a cruise ship. Put 10 or 15 cruise ships back to back, and then you would get the idea of the scale. So this is linked to Denton. Then mostly Texas seems to be void of these, but again, the number of dots does not, so in the picture that we're seeing, the number of dots does not represent adequately how far spread and proliferated this type of research is. So this is a historical snapshot. Now every single university, every single campus has access to little, let's say, sub-projects. And nobody knows what the other is doing, and they don't have the full picture. It's impossible to put it all together, so they don't know. It just seems like a hand-me-down from the military, all pretty working and functional. None of it needs fixing. None of it needs research. It's pretty much a little box, and the messages have at it. So very interesting. So what they would do is try to figure out how to use it in commerce, in business, making money, that kind of thing.
And then we have this section, which is interesting. New Mexico, Carlsbad, then Texas, Fort Stockton, this facility, then Chiquaya, Mexico, another hotspot. Can we take a look at these three sites and what's there?
Okay. These are um, these are distinctly um, chosen because of the location of older technology. It would be also a magnificent historical site. with evidence of many, many, many different types of human civilization, but also non-human. Portal tech. Portal tech. Medical research. Exotic medical research. And let's say, yes, as in printing, printing different organs, printing the entire body, that kind of thing. Also Texas. So these, say, lower dots, the lower four dots, these are, let's say, especially in New Mexico. And then Chihuahua, yes. So where it says Chihuahua
Yeah.
in Mexico, these are ancient sites. So it leaves now the geographic boundaries of the United States, but still there's an understanding again with the locations that go outside the borders towards the north with Canada. This is a reason for strong, let's say, political alliance. The maintenance of these sites and many of these, let's say, organizations are international anyway. They don't actually mind too much about geographic and political borders. And they seem to have their own modes of transport and operation. But since the inception of this map, much of the research, centralized research, has been decentralized, come under a much more efficient form of management and organization, reducing waste, reducing corruption, putting more stricter pressure for results and outcome, and also bringing in a greater number of people, vastly greater number of the best and brightest who can contribute to the development and growth of this kind of technology.
So the advanced medical technology, is it like printing body parts, printing tissue, replicating, cloning? Is it of that nature?
Yes, this is now going into the nitty-gritty of understanding genetics. So there is a type of, let's say, medical technology that looks into perfect replication of an organ or a body part or even an entire vessel through printing. This one is more genetic science. Use of all life forms for the purpose of war.
And is it like replicator technology, printer technology, holographic medical pods, all of the
No,
above?
it's wet work, cellular, genetic codes, living tissue. So yeah, probably that's why it's outside the borders.
Mhm. There's this lovely facility as well. Can you have a look what that is? That's also kind of Mexico area. What do they do there?
Um, uh, the first thing that comes is this is interaction, basically like a Congress or let's say a committee of different beings. So commerce, pretty much commerce. The trade that keeps up the empire.
Mhm.
This seems to be now a melding between the regular human governments and the control system of the galactic beings. Commerce, yes, this is focused on commerce. It's completely different from the others. Yes, drugs, slavery, that kind of thing.
Mhm. There's also this facility, and it's outside of Texas, kind of outside of Mexico. What does this do? This one right here. It's outside of New Mexico here, above Chihuahua.
Mhm. Okay, again, defense application. So it is exotic technology. This is not mainstream, smaller scale. Let's see. Medical, yes. Is it genetic? Yes. Have they got access to the, let's say, holographic printing technology? Yes. So this one seems to be more biological research. It's interesting. The ones that are on the southern side of the United States, they seem to be mostly now working on medical, biological types of research. Pretty, so it cannot be, I mean, if the secrecy is compromised, it'll cause a major political upheaval within the boundaries of the United States. And so a lot of the more unsavory work is exported elsewhere, and yet it is strategically close enough that if need be, they can send in the cavalry and recover what is needed. But again, this is an older type of facility. The location of such research is now worldwide. So they have these little bases. There's a war going on in the surrounding locations, which means that no regular, let's say, investigator is going to be present in the middle of the war zone. And of course, nobody wishes to mess with the US troops in the middle of the war zone. So it's a perfect location for, let's say, some sorts of bio research. This
And
goes on in pretty much every war zone. So it seems that war is good for business.
And Stephen Greer had said that he had visited an underground medical facility on the borders of Mexico and the United States, where he saw holographic medical pod-like technology that can print body parts and restore tissue, cure diseases. So it seems in line with what you're seeing in these facilities.
So this is not it is not a pleasant environment. This is now part of the legacy of the older treaties, where many of us were sold down the river in exchange for technology.
Mhm.
And so these parts, especially the one at the lowest dot, so there you go. That's the commercial hub. And so then a lot of non-human craft would transport out human beings as payment.
Makes sense because when you go further down, there's Antarctica,
Right,
and
right.
that's a hub of hotbed activity for all kinds of naughty things going on
Yeah, yeah.
that we explored in another blind remote viewing and got a lot of great stuff about. So there's just two more.
If I may, if I
Yep.
may ask to please go down now to Mexico. So again, we talked about local skirmishes or
Mm-hmm.
even major major regional wars being covered. So in addition to the use of terrain, like mountains and valleys, it seems that the local area is kept in a constant state of unrest.
Mm.
And so I want to point out to the presence of, let's say, the Mexican cartel.
Hmm.
These can be wiped out in 2 weeks. Look at what happened in Honduras. It can be done. This is kept chaotic intentionally. So yeah, these situations of chaos are intentional.
It's a distraction to cover up the real stuff that
Correct.
is
Correct.
is going on there. And there's just two more spots. They're higher up if you're willing to have a look.
Please.
It's going back up. Um, this is and Riverton seems to be this one, and this one in Nebraska, and one here in Utah. So let's have a look at Riverton in Wyoming first. What's there?
Let me just I want to see the terrain on Google Earth. That'll
Mm-hmm.
help me fill in.
Yes.
Riverton, Wyoming. Let me see if I can get a satellite view of this. Yes, I can. Oh, wow. This is interesting. This one is this is far older than, let's say, this is one of the ancient ones. Riverton, Wyoming. There's a large body of water, an ancient, let's say, water feature. Let's see if there's a name. So, yeah, so this would be Boysen State Park. Low population also. But what I'm getting for this location, this is an ancient one. Again, we had a look at a location together, the border of Canada and United States. So it seems, again, this is one of those locations where there's an ancient, let's say, small scale ancient gate or portal. Now, let's see what they use it for. Is it larger craft? No. Now, smaller tactical vessels. Yes, so again, we've got smaller. These are not working on the motherships. These are working on the smaller, faster ones. So cost would be significantly lower, number of occupants much lower. Is it just working on craft? No. Is there are they taking advantage of the portal that is there? Yes. Okay, so this is another hub, but it is human controlled. It's used for supply, logistical. They're able to transport personnel, vehicles, machinery, generators, food, and that kind of stuff, using the older, let's say, portal. to set coordinates that is accessible by the other units on other locations. This is now an old network. There's a strict limitation to size, what they can transport, or volume, not mass. It could be solid lead. That doesn't really matter. So yeah, they've got. This is now using the older technology, the ancient, billion-year-old technology, and taking full advantage of that. Very ancient. This is up and running, and also in association with smaller vessels. Let's call them the tactical ones. Really fast, like a tiny fighter plane. Involvement with that. These can be sent around in small numbers. So yeah, they're using the old, let's say, gateways.
And then we have here Salt Lake in Utah, a facility. Can you have a look what this one does?
So proximity to the Great Salt Lake, also elevations, natural geographic features. Let's see. Okay, so we've got ideal conditions for, let's say, high-speed vehicles. So we've got between, let's say, between Salt Lake City and then to the west, so west of the Great Salt Lake, a dried up, let's say, ocean bed or dried up bed. So this provides long stretches of extremely smooth and level surface, again, for high speed takeoff and landing. So this would be ideal for the development of more conventional vehicles. So now returning to your point on the map. So Salt Lake City to the east of the Great Salt Lake, Skull Valley, and then let's zoom out and see where is of greater significance. So absolutely, the most important feature is the, let's say, the dried up lake bed. Smooth surfaces. This one is more highly protected than all the other sites. Some sort of a barrier in place, bouncing off my consciousness left and right. So we've got something very special going on. Let's see.
Clear it up so we can have a
Yep.
look at it. Open up the
Southern
gates.
part, yes. Okay. Right, okay, I'm just going in quadrants. Ah, here we go. Gotcha. So, a location called Granite Peak. This is on the southern part of the dried up salt lake bed. Again, mountainous region. And we've got a massive facility underneath here. Wow. Okay. Some pretty interesting features on the Earth. So let's see what these guys do. Okay, radio telemetry, deep space observation. Okay, no wonder this is shielded. This is one of the defensive posts. planetary defenses. This is the coolest one out of every single one. I mean, UFO, UFO, whatever, yeah. But this stuff, oh my God, this is where they've got the cool stuff. Yes, planetary defenses, let's say, with a mind-boggling range. So anything that enters our galaxy is monitored through here, again, for the safeguarding of our wonderful planet. Wow. And so, yes, the scale of some of these, let's say, devices is monumental. Oh my God, some pretty interesting features here. Yes, use of geometry, awareness of harmonics, dimensionality, so they can sense vessels that are not exactly in 3D either. Pretty advanced stuff. So the scale of this facility is mind-boggling. It is enormous. Let's see the scale on the map. Let me give you a kind of idea. Where's the scale? Come on, Google. So a proper map needs a proper scale. So I'm going to try and see. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh my God. Okay, so, da, da, da. Salt Lake, yes, I've got it back now. Here we go. I just want to give you a rough scale of one of the dishes that is in. Okay, so it is 2 kilometers in diameter. There's another perfect circular one to the east, and that is about 1.5 kilometers or 1 mile in diameter. That is the size of the dish. Lots of interesting stuff going on here. Yup. So, Granite Peak. Not many have probably heard of that name. So there's everything placed to protect its secrecy. Sorry.
Well, it makes sense because if we go down from here, there's more in this area and one here. Is there anything more special about the Granite Peak one? Anything? Is it so?
It's like the um, this is strategic. It's not dealing with anything that happens by humans. This is basically keeping our home safe.
Hmm.
So telemetry and early warning systems. Um, this has been kept in mind, and this seems to be the location. Again, if they need to quote unquote crash land something, they've got a massive dry lake bed, so it can be a more smooth crash landing or whatever, right? So, um, highly important, highly important.
Mhm. And if we move a little down here, we have like a bullseye in Parika. This seems to be like something of a bullseye for something. And that's on the border of Utah and Colorado and Arizona, right here. So if I zoom in, like even right here, Parika, can you have a look what's there?
Let's get a picture. So, Erika, okay, it's with a C, and
It's like marks the spot, the biggest thing on the map. A circle within a
Mesa,
circle.
Arizona. Okay.
Perica, Perica.
So let's get the first political map. Okay. Now zooming in. Okay. So the map is not giving me anything.
Yeah, it's like if we're going from Nevada, right?
Yep.
We're going out of Nevada. This is Utah, so that's the border of Utah. And it's right on the border of Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, like crossing Arizona, like here. Utah is here,
Oh, got it.
and we're
So
going down
Arizona, there we go. I've got it.
this place, and then this place, then this place, and then this place in Arizona, and one in Nebraska. And then we're finished with the US.
There are many, many sites. So this location.
Called Parika. Kind of goes like Utah, then we go down. Where it says uranium, we go down Parika. I've never heard of this place.
Okay, so I'm not able to get anything on the map. It's too small.
Okay,
Let's have a look.
go 400 for you. Utah, right here. And then you go down Utah, you go kind of like Parika right there. Can you see that?
Yes. Okay. So, is there research happening? No. Is it a relay station? Yes. Okay, strong relay station. Let's dig deep into this. Is it a hub of transport? No. Is it a power source? No. Are humans moved through it? No. So what is being relayed? Is it information? Yes. Is it controlling communication between, let's say, Earth and other places? No. Is it Earth-based? No. Okay, this is an old site. It is not really in major use. It is an old site, a relay station. Is it for information? Yes. Information gathering. It's known of, but not operated by people. So is this a non-human facility? Yes. Okay, interesting. Are humans aware of it? Yes, of course. This one has the strictest protection amongst all the other sites. It's not operated by, let's say, government. Very, very tiny information gathering and the relay of information. Does the information go off planet? No. Okay. Does it go to inner Earth civilizations? Yes. Okay. We got them. Very strict borders, very strict protection. Okay. Is this a inner Earth outpost? Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Okay. Here's where the let's say now that I'm in, I'm getting more. These people, inner Earth people, they look at the surface as a farm, and so they've got their own agenda, taking great advantage. Now, this is again related to the large-scale harvesting of humanity for their, let's say, energetic and biological material. Mm. There's an alliance between the pirates, non-Earth based, and the Earth based inner Earth people. These are the mid-level, not the ones closer to the surface, not the ones down closer to the core. Uh, The ones closer to the surface are more chaotic. The ones that are deeper down are relatively more docile. Again, it seems, are they benefiting from the harvesting? No, no, no. They're just keeping an eye on what goes on around. Information is sent back in to, let's say, their civilization. So this seems to be like a periscope in a submarine. They're able to pull in all sorts of information, electronic, let's say electromagnetic broadcasts, but also they've got their own means of information gathering, monitoring the state of humanity. So this one is non-human. This one was the hardest one to crack. So yeah, very interesting.
And then we go a little bit backwards to here, page, and we have another,
Okay.
let's have a look what's here.
Okay. Right. So let's see. Page, Arizona.
Mhm.
Is this human? Yes. Military? Yes. Is it involved with craft? Yes. Yes and no. So they do more. Page, Arizona. Is it research on genetics and medical systems? Yes. Is that the sole focus? No. So again, this seems to be another one of these bases where a lot of research of different kinds occurs. Again, there's a proximity. The city of Page is of less interest. I'm drawn to moving about, say, 50 kilometers east, northeast, Navajo Mountain. Okay. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding. Subterranean. Yes, Navajo Mountain. So it seems that these mountains are chosen. Is there an ancient legacy? No. Is it modern? Yes. Okay, Navajo Mountain, another one of these bases. Is it of the nature of nuclear weaponry? Yes, yes. So similar to what we had with in Colorado, the another Indian name. What is it? This Colorado. There was a
Cheyenne
mountain there.
Mountain.
There we go. It seems that this is another one called Navajo Mountain. We've got another type of base, almost identical. Uh, Taking advantage of natural topology. So it's right above the border of Utah and
Mhm.
Arizona. So this one is in Utah. Okay, so we've gone out of Arizona, but again, that city itself is kind of on the border itself.
Mhm.
Um, City of Page is in Arizona, but this
Mhm.
mountain is kind of on the border of Arizona and Utah.
Mhm.
Yep, good old human ingenuity, taking advantage of the rock structure and the mountainous terrain, and then digging underneath it. So it seems that the number of these are great um, inception for the protection of the United States, giving it a first strike or retaliatory strike capability for the madness that is mutually assured destruction.
And then we have a location called Wikiup, which is down from page. If we go like
Okay.
this, we have a place called Wikiup. Can we have a look at what is in that magical location? Because the name is interesting. Wikiup.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look together.
Mhm. That's in Arizona.
Yes. So it seems the points on the map are the nearest town, so they're not spot on. Of course, these facilities wouldn't be put smack in the middle of the city.
No,
So
no.
yeah, let's have a look and see what we've got in close proximity. Uh, okay, again, we've got a nice mountain range towards the left. Let's zoom in. All right, so looking for points of interest. Wiki up. So it seems that the oh, you're gonna love this. There is a mountain called near a city called Baghdad. Baghdad, as in Iraq. Well, yes, we've got a big mountain here. Seems some sort of a mining operation. Highly, yes, it is. It is a mine. And so this is popping out. It's not usual. Something underneath the terrain here. It looks like some sort of a rock mining, maybe marble. So the presence of tunnels is already there. We've got the dry desert sand. So this would be good for storage, long-term storage. Um, so close to our wonderful wiki up. There's a mine, a structure called Baghdad. And so here, whatever's going on is here. So why in the mountain? Why here? I mean, what's going on? Is it medical? No. Are they storing stuff in the salt? Yes. Some sort of a storage, but again, it's important to use the salt. Like this will never go off, never go bad, so they can preserve stuff for a long time. Some sort of a storage facility, independent of requirements of electricity. So whatever they put down here, you can come back in 2 million years and it's still pretty fresh. Uh, they've got the cold, they've got the dry. Um, Cold as in you go deeper down into the earth, the temperatures are going down. So the depth of the tunnel system. So there's some sort of a mining operation, a storage facility. Is it active? Not really, not very much going on as we speak.
Getting water salination, protecting the water, protecting the resource at all costs, hiding it, storing it, packing.
Yeah, correct. Some sort of a long-term preservation. I'm
Yes,
getting the same thing.
yeah,
So I don't know what kind of water this is and why it has to be in the middle of a salt desert. But that's the general gist of it, long-term preservation.
yeah, to salinate the water, water salination, water, clean, pure water. The salt production, it cleans water, it preserves, it's a preservative of water and other things for making things. That's the best way I could describe it.
Something special about this location, maybe the conditions of the, let's say, the rock, the salt. They've already got a big mining operation, so they could easily use it for this kind of purpose. Some sort of quote unquote scientific process,
Mm-hmm,
long-term preservation.
mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm getting from here.
Me too. And then when we go down Arizona, when we go down, 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 there's another one here. If we can have a look at this one.
Okay, so let's get away from Baghdad.
Yeah, yeah, down across Arizona towards the bottom. It's kind
So
of like,
let's take a look. Okay, between Arizona and New Mexico.
mhm. It's in
Okay,
Arizona. It's just towards the bottom here. Did you want me to
yeah.
zoom out or keep it like this?
No, 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 it's good. I've got a good scale. So let me just get, all right, so this would be going into National Forest. Okay, again, ding, 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 Apache Peak. You got to be kidding me. All these native names. This one is actually called Apache Peak. So Cheyenne Mountain, the other one Navajo Mountain, Apache Peak. So interesting that these sites seem to be old. Now Apache Peak. Let's see what we have here. Again, same kind of mountainous region. So in the close vicinity here, okay, this is one of the old ones. Coronado National Forest, Dry Creek climbing area. But again, the Apache Peak, that's a major landmark and it's the most elevated part in the surrounding geography. Yes, there seems to be a number of these. So down to the southwest, Madera Canyon, Saguaro National Park. These are all now popping up, being illuminated in my head. So let's go down to the Apache Peak. Okay, this is again more ancient. So we're now getting to the cluster, close to the cluster between, let's say, Arizona, New Mexico, and Mexico proper, where we've got this like peppering of ancient facilities, ancient portals. This seems to be one of these. So military, no. Is it active right now? Yes. So yeah, research on portal technology to very little avail. They're not making much headway. It's kind of probably every 15 years they bring in a new crew to have a go at it. Give them 6 months, and if they don't get anything done, they just clear the place out. It's one of those things. They've come to terms with the technology being way too advanced out there. So this is one of those. Seems now we're in the middle of a dormant period, so nothing much is going on.
And do you sense anything in Datil, New Mexico? Because there's like a hub of these lit up areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, interconnected to Datil.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Kind of near Dulce, just to cover it to be safe, because it's interesting. It's like a triangle and a star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus Dulce. Like a hub of something.
Right, again, so near Datil, so that's basically the nearest city. Let me just take a look. This is going to be interesting. Is it this way or that way? Let me take a look at the features. So again, we've got proximity to mountains. So the north and east, we've got a mountain range. And again, we've got another location called Indian Peak. Seems like there's a pattern here. So let me zoom out, see the location. New Mexico, yeah, this is one of the old ones. And again,
like,
this is one of the very old ones.
It's like
So
A. Looks like an A because there's so many interconnected facilities or something.
Yeah. It seems that this is a mishmash of newer facilities, but also older ones. So Datil, New Mexico, we've got lots of features around it. And the one that's peeking out is Indian Peak, peering out or illuminated in my head. Again, one of the old facilities, small scale, and let's see, military use, yes. Is it active? Yes. Is there currently research going on? Is it purely military? So research, yes and no, purely military, both yes and no. So it's a multi-purpose facility. They've got research, and then let's see, are there craft being constructed here? Yes. Is it entire craft or subcomponents? Entire craft, yes. Okay, so this seems to be more interesting. Parts are brought in and assembled and tested. Let's return to the surrounding terrain. So now, pretty close to this facility, we've got a large desert area, flat surfaces. So this would be interesting. And again, we've got this kind of extremely large antenna system in terms of scale. So this is not related to that. That's pretty close. What is this? Let's have a look. Okay, this is natural agriculture, desert agriculture. So again, towards Datil, north of Datil, we've got Indian Peak. Let's go to the left. Okay, so network, there's a number of facilities networked together. Parts are brought in, and they are assembled and released. Is it the motherships? No. Smaller craft. No. Intermediate size, yes. So medium size. So little cruisers, not the little tactical, let's say, fighters, not the massive motherships, medium size. So they could take on a couple of hundred people and do some major work, and so transport stuff. So again, like the Navy, we've got different sizes of vessels apparently being manufactured. This one seems to be working on the intermediate size, not the massive cruisers, but something a little bit smaller, not exactly a, let's say, single or two-person or 10-person fighter craft either. Intermediate.
Yeah, because it looks like A
Yeah,
with, so it looks like even a pattern of how they built it specifically to be a hub.
right. Right. Well,
So obvious.
this is taking advantage of the geography, and so we've got the mountains you see coming down, but then there's also a more ancient sites. Uh, so depending on how active the earth plates are here, I'm not quite sure now about that. Whether we've got, let's say, earthquake or any kind of volcanic activity, these would all be considered when choosing the location. But absolutely, we've got this mountain range. Mm, So again, New Mexico and Colorado, the presence of these mountains, and it's pretty much inland, so it's a wonderful location to uh, build these kinds of facilities. Almost
Mm-hmm.
impossible to invade and take over. So yeah,
And then when we go up, we have Nebraska. I'll zoom in a bit more. You have past Colorado, we have Nebraska. You have this
right.
facility. Can we have a look at it?
Of course. Okay, so that's where we go. Nebraska. Okay, let's get in. Mhm.
It's upper Nebraska, so it's like up top more. This.
Okay. So let's pull back and zoom out. What do we have here? So it's not terribly mountainous either. Greatest feature is 2 states away, which would be the Great Lakes system. So Nebraska going to this point. Okay.
It seems isolated, like one thing only.
Incredibly isolated. And let's see, it's hills and greenland, rather than any sort of major mountain and valley kind of thing. No dry lake bed, so it's not really suitable for extremely long, let's say, runways either. And so there seems to be great focus in agriculture. What else is going on? Wildlife, some bodies of water. So this is probably one of the best kept secrets. It cannot be viewed. I can't see anything with it. So let me take a different approach, because this is pointing to something, right? This
Mhm.
the accuracy of the map is not spot on. So let's go in and see what we can find in the entire state. Okay.
I get spying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This would be perfect for it. And so let's divide in quadrants here. Okay. So it seems to be dedicated, mostly suitable for agriculture. And what do we have? I'm trying to see. So it's not taking advantage of any natural geographic feature.
Mm-mm.
Um, okay. We've got something now. Major facility. Okay, gotcha. Major facility. It's got its own hydroelectric power generation. Uh, it's called Calamus Reservoir, State Recreation and something. So golf clubs and something. There's a massive dam and a reservoir called Calamus Reservoir. This would give access to hydroelectric energy. Absolutely, yes, this makes sense. So they would be able to have a self-sustained facility down here. Of course, they're going to take advantage of the energy of the water. And then down the line, it's feeding Burwell and other cities where cultivation is going on. There we go. Yeah. So it's kind of gathering the natural water. There's a dam creating a reservoir. And this is the location that is peaking up. Water purification, yes, facility, but something else going on. So the location here was chosen for availability of power. They didn't want to create another nuclear facility, so they used the water. Clean energy transfer station. So then it's then distributed down the line to other cities. So this is a source of energy. Now we've got the general area. Let's see. Right, so close proximity to this, because any other places there's not much going on. So let's see what's happening down here. Research, no. Is it human run? Yes. Is it, let's say, is it military research? Yes. Is it linked to, let's say, out of Earth activity? No. Is it controlling information gathering? No. So why is this of interest? Has it got anything to do with exotic non-Earth-based technologies? Yes, absolutely. So underneath this general location, there's one of these labs and they're researching. Is it enemy craft? Yes. Enemy craft. That's interesting. They get, it's not just people they go hunting for, it's enemy craft. So it's remote, like kind of the whole place. There's not much going on. Some bodies of water, lots of, let's say, cultivation of crops, but other than that, no. Okay, so research on, let's say, acquired enemy technology. Who is the enemy? They call them enemies. They're not necessarily intending harm to humanity. So anybody that shows up is tagged enemy. They shoot them out of the sky, and this is one of the places they bring the remains. So yeah, tearing the guts out of the ship and assigning it to different teams and so on.
Mhm. And why not place it near a dam? Tons of energy, tons of power, golf courses,
And
agriculture. Why not?
inexhaustible, inexhaustible. So the scale of the facility isn't extremely large either. So yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I'm also getting that it has a spy station with radar stuff.
Well, that would not be surprising. So perhaps this is where they identify craft to be targeted. But again, I'm getting distinctly enemy craft.
Mhm. Most remote place, little to do with nothing, but to do with
Pretty much.
everything. Why
And
not?
in fact, it's of a monumental importance. So a lot of the stuff we had a look at, the technology is not gifted or volunteered to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We've been much more proactive. Now, this one in Nebraska seems to be important. Now that you've zoomed out, it's kind of yeah, placed in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
A great variety of technology makes it into here, and then it is trickled down the line to others. So it's up the scale of hierarchy in terms of importance. So this group would be involved with the acquisition and reverse engineering of enemy technology.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that makes sense to me because I get a lot of spying energy. It's like
So
spying upon spying upon spying, layers of spycraft, and just that's a specialty.
yeah, yeah,
They like it. They like the work they do.
of course they are good at what they do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the other one that I had was going from Nebraska back to California to this place, Telos, Shasta. Can I zoom in on that? And that's the last one for this. And if you're up for it,
Hello,
just Canada
course.
map a little bit, and that's it. So this one right here.
Carlos. That's okay, let's have a look. Okay, yep, near Mount Shasta,
Yeah.
incredible, let's say, topography. It's a monumental location. Zooming out, this has got some potent energy. Uh, okay, so strategic location always has been. Mount Shasta, okay. Um, Mount Shasta itself, but that's not exactly the center of the activity.
Mhm.
Zoom out, it's pretty close. Let's go out and see what we can find. So the whole place is radiating um, with a very potent, powerful kind of like stay the hell away kind of energy. Why? What's going on underneath? Yeah, they've got active defenses, so it cannot be viewed. Let's try and circumvent that. Zooming out, looking at the greater scale. Okay, this is a it's not what's going on is not physical. We're now moving into the fourth and fifth dimension, uh, non-earth based. Yes, active. Yes. Okay, I'm getting Anunnaki stronghold. This is interesting. Why would they need to stay here? It's like uh, an assembly point, like you have on like any building would have a fire safety and then an outdoors assembly point just to count heads and make sure nobody's left behind. I'm getting this kind of thing. And then there's towards the northwest. Now we've got more stuff. Okay, this is an ancient storehouse. Very ancient storehouse of weaponry. And it's not accessible through physicality either. Very advanced stuff. This is going back probably 250,000 years. They've chose this location as a storehouse or a backup for older exotic stuff. Um, the numbers are dwindling, and some of them have actually, most of them have lost the understanding to even read what is documented in this place, never mind reproduce the technology. So it's an old treasure trove of Anunnaki tech. Um, I'm not talking about these weaklings that we have today, the original, the strong ones that actually made it to Earth. Uh, yeah, this is a strategic location. And right at the, let's say, western part of the continent of North America, this would make sense. Other structures of similar importance. Now we're moving across the globe. We've got, let's see, we've got on the east coast of China. Holy crap, it's Taiwan. So that's another stronghold. Next one on the map. We're going now into Tibet, eastern, let's say eastern Afghanistan. Oops, excuse me. Okay, so this is now bordering between Afghanistan and Tajikistan. Mountain Peak, we've got another important center equivalent to what Mount Shasta is. Uh, Kashgar, that's the name. Let's see, next one, we're going south. India. So there seem to be a number of these important storehouses or backup or assembly points, Anunnaki. India coming down. This would be, let's say, Kerala, south of India. Next one we've talked about, and now we're going into Iraq. No, not into Saudi. Let's go north into Iraq. Yep. Let's see. Let's lose the satellite. Let me see the names of the cities. Okay, that's better. Da, da, da. South of Baghdad, we've got Karbala. This is another incredibly important location. And then we're going into Syria, Mediterranean coast. Guess who has a party there? The Russians, Tartus. So these are spotted all around, giving rise to ancient civilizations, as each of the Anunnaki would be located there. Very interesting. Mount Shasta, not so pretty after all.
But it does have Telos. The question that I had, does it have Telos where the Lemurians and some of the Atlanteans went underground? And do they have cities there? Does Mount Shasta actually have that, as the lore says?
Going underground, no, not in relation to Lemurians. So is there any human activity there in terms of, let's say, is there any residue or remainings of human civilization? Yes, very old. Is it predating Lemuria? Yes, so it's a lot older. It's not from Lemuria. They also stepped upon it and discovered it. It was not them. It's an older iteration of humanity. But then certain locations were usurped or just taken over. The Anunnaki are the latecomers. They haven't been here for very long either. But seems this location, this energetic location, is been important forever, pretty much.
So is there an actual city named Telos with Telosians under Mount Shasta, and that it's like a 4 or 5D sacred place where they live?
Not in physicality, energetically, yes. Sixth dimension, yes.
Yeah, seems like a lot of energy, yes?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Everything died.
Yeah, because you were going to 6D and you were
Yeah.
looking at it, and
So Mount Shasta, very significant.
mm-hmm,
Um, in terms of, let's say, physical material. It's a storehouse, an ancient Anunnaki storehouse. Now seems to be a subterranean civilization. These are ones that are closer to the surface, existing in the sixth dimension, and relatively peaceful.
mm-hmm. So would you say those are like the Telosians? What people would say, they go in there, they meet the Telosians, and they get energetic upgrades, and they find out about history of the Earth.
What I'm sensing is they wish to they do not wish to interact too frequently. So if such events do occur, it would be incredibly, incredibly rare for a human to be invited in for fear of their survival.
Mhm.
So perhaps this would be more of an energetic exchange of the nature of downloads, showing them or giving them information, psychic communication. That makes more sense. They do not seem to favor physical form either. So there's nothing to explore. It's a energetic structure. It's a very elevated type of existence. So
Mhm.
to those that have the right energy and show potential, of course, they would give downloads or give them enhancements, insights into, let's say, the history of the planet. That makes sense.
Mhm. I guess that's, and people say that they have a huge city under Mount Shasta called Telos. So it might not actually be a physical city, but an energetic place that looks like a
Correct.
city.
Correct. Yes, 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 absolutely. So they would have in the sixth dimension, they would have homes, they would have streets, roads, whatnot. But that is true for the vast majority of the subterranean civilizations. They're very advanced. So they're not digging tunnels, they're not cave dwellers. They've got their own type of, let's say, technology that would sustain them and protect them.
Mhm.
And of course, there are amongst them those that would find humans visiting this site of interest because of our, let's say, New Age culture. Mount Shasta has become famous. And so, of course, it attracts many, many incredible humans, incredible to a point that even a six-dimensional civilization will find them unique and worthy of greater aid. So the less chaos occurring amongst the humans is better for everybody.
Exactly. And I want to just quickly find the map that also of Canada that I was going to share with you because I had sent it to you. And so we could have a look, just one look at the Canadian place. Because in the remote viewing, you had done the Canadian one, and I just want to do a quick look at that if you're okay with it. And I had
Sure.
sent you the PDF of it, and I just want to find it in the links that I had sent you. I'm just scrolling back through time. Monkey brain. There we go. I think that's it. To open it up, and yep, monkey brain found it. And share that with you if you're up for another look.
Okay. Okay.
Another little journey of fun exploration.
Of course.
So I'm just going to share that with you. This is that lovely Zero Avenue in Douglas that you where you in Blaine, going down to Washington, Bellingham, where you found that lovely scientific facility with the sentient computer stuff. But
Yeah.
if I zoom in, I'm gonna zoom in 200 more. If we go from this place called White Rock down to this place, Zero Avenue, Blaine is in Zero Avenue is huge. Is there anything else in this area between good old White Rock here, going down here, Douglas, and going to this beautiful Zero Avenue and Blaine? Do you sense anything else other than that scientific facility that is of any importance to black sites, to military, or anything special, portals? Is there anything of significance in any of these areas between here all the way to here and here? in here.
Okay. Uh, uh, Samiamu. Let's go to the top left side. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Hills at Portal Golf Club. So this is right in the middle of center of population. So this is not suitable for any type of, let's say, work on craft. So there was one facility that was working on, let's say, the sentient computer, and
Mhm.
also holographic technology. So in addition to that, is there anything that I'm picking up? I'm not sensing anything. So I could be fatigued or it could be well covered. So
Mhm.
not in particular. The one that I picked up, that's the major one in this general area.
Yeah, I just wanted to cover everything just to
Yeah, so they wouldn't test any kind of craft here. It's too busy.
yeah.
And so there's also an understanding not to kick the hornet's nest, as
Hmm.
in regular people that are living an ordinary life. They don't want to cause unrest and chaos for them.
Hmm.
So isolated places, that's where the sort of working on craft and vessels would be. But smaller scale research within, let's say, the confounds of a big structure, let's say a skyscraper, that kind of thing, or a collection of buildings altogether. This is most certainly possible. There are lots of these, especially, let's say, in the past 15 years. They've been broken up and spread among many, many, many different research, academic, and corporate sites, which has sped up the development of this entire field. So the integration and understanding of non-Earth-based um, wisdom.
Yeah. These places have a lot of farms,
Yeah,
golf courses, trees, forests, water. Like these are urban areas, but there's farmland, there's forests here. Um, and forests here, Zero Avenue, a lot of places where you could do stuff underneath.
of
Like,
course.
are you picking up anything potentially underground that is of interest other than that site that was found in the remote viewing?
So there is something going on. Let's see. Is it medical research? Yes. Um, military application. So medical research, no, actually. Military application, yes. Anything to do with, let's say, creation of super soldiers? No. So more of the, let's see, military tech, yes. Is it anything to do with craft? No. Is it using non-Earth technology? No. So regular corporate secrets, they could get pretty advanced. Seems that it has a military application and not using exotic technology. So more closer to the, let's say, mainstream type of corporate research. Um, is it using alien tech? Hand-me-downs, yes. So it's part of the structure. So again, these do exist in this very large area. Yeah,
Mhm.
but the one that is of most interest that pops out immediately is the holographic technology and the sentient computer.
And that's within this area wherever there was that mountain. It
Correct.
could be
Yes, yes, yes.
further out that away because
Correct.
Zero Avenue
Correct.
is huge.
Correct. Correct.
And the border between Canada and the US is also huge. I like to be thorough and I like to cover everything.
Of course.
So I wanted to just do another sweep of this area. So the military stuff that they do, what did they do here? Just can you have just a general look what that is with the alien hand-me-downs?
Seems to be some sort of material science. Um, yeah, sort of synthetic material, um, polymers, different types of lightweight substances, very resilient to heat, to mechanical stress. So mostly mechanical metallurgy, chemical, that kind of thing.
And that's another thing I was also picking up in this area. There's a facility that works with polymers, that works with military applications. It's underground and there's like an electromagnetic field that is most uncomfortable protecting it, the
Right,
facility. So if you go near Zero Avenue, it feels very like stay out of this place. Don't
right.
visit. Don't go looking for anything. This horrible buzzing shielding, like it
Hmm.
protects this place. So that might be it.
Yeah, material sciences, that has application in everything. Yeah, pushing to the edge what can be fabricated. So again, hand-me-downs, they've got the end result, maybe a tiny piece of a vessel. They're observing it, doing different types of tests, trying to reproduce it, that kind of thing. Making incredibly lightweight and strong materials. That's always useful. It seems to be one of the focuses. So material sciences.
Yeah,
Now,
and
this is potentially very lucrative. So having access to, let's say, super materials, this is strategic for every single field. So within the design of an aircraft or a ship or a submarine or let's say a spacefaring vessel, or down to, let's say, the body armor that a soldier would use. It has so many applications. And then of course, it can be patented. So yeah, again, hand me down. They're trying to figure out how to mass produce and use in regular, let's say, industry.
and that's also important because you can manufacture things. And again, there's so many forests here, there's farmland. So you can hide a facility and nobody would know.
Yes.
And further down, there are mountainous regions too. So that we're close to the Rockies, we're close to several mountain ranges in British Columbia. So it's like this is just part of it, and we're close to the ocean as well.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things to play with topography
Absolutely.
wise
Yeah.
in these
If I was
locations.
choosing, so sometimes there's disguise in putting things in plain sight. It's just another regular building. People come and go, no logo, nobody really cares. So it's doesn't stand out. That's another way of security. Um, so again, it seems a very densely populated area, farmland also, but it wouldn't be ideal for any kind of, let's say, working on craft.
No,
So it would be more subtle types of research. You
yeah,
can, yeah,
I agree with you. It felt like a medium-sized facility that is not too small, not too big. Polymers, metallurgy.
correct.
That is like they can print any type of a polymer and reproduce it. And they have replicator technology, specifically like with replicators that can replicate this material stuff.
Yes, yes. So now trying to figure out how to make money off it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good description.
Yeah, it was research and development. That's what I was getting, and I felt very uncomfortable in that area. It's like I don't want to move to any of this area or zone because I
Mhm.
could feel the energy of whatever is shielding this facility. I could feel it. It was like zoom, zoom, buzzing. Like it has an electrical pulse to it. It feels
Yes.
very uncomfortable.
Well, you see, this is part of what is limiting what we can do. So some of these super materials could connect the surface of the Earth to the moon, create an elevator, or how fast aircraft can go. Metal starts to fail in certain temperatures and under certain amounts of stress. So they've used ceramic. This is now looking into um, basically pushing this to greater limits. Uh, Imagine a 1,000-story skyscraper because they're not using steel anymore. So taking material science to the next level.
Exactly. Replicating replicating polymers so perfectly, you don't need to churn them over and over to get results. You just perfectly replicate it, stick it within something, and off it goes to be delivered or modified or put into industry.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, yeah.
You have it. It's done, and they can replicate more like a manufacturing site, an experimental site for that.
That seems to be the general idea. What I'm picking up from wherever this is, it's difficult to pinpoint. So there's some sort of a um, noise generator or something,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's I'm feeling it now, kind of tingling in my crown. So yeah, it's pretty effective. But again, what's happening within the structure, within wherever this facility is, it's making metal redundant, moving past metal. So it's the next great evolution in technology. You know, we've got the Bronze Age, and then we've got the Iron Age. Now we're in the Steel Age. So now probably the next great revolution would be exotic materials that cannot be done sort of through natural chemical processes, perhaps. So working on that, creating something that is truly indestructible. We saw examples of this with the multi-million or some billion-year-old portal facilities. No moving parts and the material is indestructible. And so trying to replicate that would be a worthy sort of objective to research.
Mhm.
So uh, seems this is the general idea. This zone, this area seems to be involved with this.
Yeah, and I felt strongly to go back here and have another look because something important felt to look a little bit more like more is here and something we could be interested in. So it's I think it was useful.
Yeah, we
And
picked up
again,
something.
yeah, and it's the border between Canada and the US. Zero Avenue. It's like you just cross the street and you're somewhere else. So it's logical. It's like if you want availability between two countries, why not place it somewhere where it's accessible, but not on the surface, but underground, but resources are available. Kind of like that would be the advantage of it.
Yes,
So I think that's logically why they might have chosen that where to put this facility access.
that does make sense.
hmm Um, I think we did great. We explored everything, all of them,
Pretty
both
much, yes.
maps, and wow, the hunting was so awesome in this remote sensing process. It's literally is you wanted portals, you wanted facilities, you wanted ancient sites, and you got everything.
There's a lot going on. So um, it would be interesting to see what's happening in other continents. So, for example, Australia, that is it's a hot zone. So much occurs in Australia, not much press. The
Mhm.
interior parts is not very densely populated either. And so the local people, the Aborigines, it's made it into their legends. Non-human beings coming and going, lots of portals. So it's not just, let's say, New Mexico and Arizona that have these properties. Seems to be something that's available in many, many locations.
Mhm.
The Anunnaki strongholds were interesting, not just Mount Shasta, but along many other places. Taiwan, wow. And then this part between Afghanistan and Tajikistan, going down to southern part of India, because that's where a lot of wisdom has survived too.
Mhm.
And then, of course, Iraq, the Babylonian civilization, then right in the Mediterranean coast, current day Syria. So a lot is going on. I think we're never going to run out of targets.
No, we can definitely in the future have a look at those other spots. I wanted to do this map, the one in the US, because it had marked off locations, so it's easier to start off with, at least like map it. And I wanted to do between the United States and Canada, the border, because we had already done a remote viewing previously. So we kind of knew the trajectory of these areas and just do
Right.
another sweep just as like, is there anything else here to, is there
We,
anything of
we, we
interest?
covered we covered a lot, all the way from like multi-billion-year-old remaining facilities, inner Earth civilizations, let's say the transport hub where people are sent off planet, to government-run facilities, regular military operations. So yeah, I think we covered quite a good range of interesting stuff.
Yeah,
So to be continued. I look forward to this.
yeah, me too. Well, it helps when you have a starting place, like several maps with somebody obviously had known of these facilities, had been there, you know, this map, supposedly Phil Schneider had made it, or somebody like him. And this map has been iterations of it has popped up, the United States one, many, many times. It was very blurry. It was very hard to read. It wasn't no nobody actually put the states, the names of the states. So this is the third iteration of its cleanup. So we could spend the time to be able to go into these places. That's why I did the
Right.
red dots,
Yes.
because it's all black and white. So it's like, even though it helps the black and white with the centers of where these facilities are, but they needed more delineation for accuracy so we can
Yeah.
actually
Right.
go and
So yeah, right
explore.
now the actual distribution of um, research and development on this type of technology is much more spread out,
Mhm.
significantly so. So we're looking at thousands of dots.
Mhm.
So the ones that we observed are, let's say, from a different era, mostly
Yes.
the Cold War era. So it's like a snapshot into the past, but now they're all pretty much unified. So the ones we did pick up activities, some of them are kind of dormant, or they're just assigned more mundane tasks. And so, yeah, major corporations now, they have access. So interesting how things evolve. But the interesting thing, the outcome of this process of unification and management, now they're under one single body, and also the distribution of research and access, it's led to significantly greater efficiency. Speed has sped the whole thing up. So we're moving at a much faster rate.
Yeah, so there's something to this truth of legacy programs, crash site retrievals, reverse engineering programs connected from corporations to military to government and interconnected in the North America, Canada too, and other places in the world, international.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so eventually the results are going to trickle down into, let's say, to the benefit of the general population. It's all a matter of cost and if it's actually financially viable to do so. Certain things are of strategic importance, and so no cost is spared. It's just we absolutely need to as a
Mhm.
species. So that's understandable. But then other things, especially the ones that are handed down to academia, then they're ready perhaps to be used. First of all, I suppose for corporations, they want to sell more junk to more people. That's usually the nature of it. But
Or keep it,
hopefully it'll become
yeah, or keep it to themselves, research, and eventually 30, 40 years down the line, make it available to people, hopefully.
right. I hope so. So slow and painful, but at least it's moving forward.
Yeah, there's evidence of that. I mean, there's defense, is what we found. There's medical research, there's bio stuff, there's trade, there's crafts, there's the ET component, the human
Yeah,
component, the portals, and
yeah.
the ancient civilizations. So it's like everything is there to explore.
Everything is there. Yeah, yeah. Everything is there. And so mm, through remote viewing or tuning in consciously, seems that we're able to pick up many of these. So very interesting.
Mhm. And you were saying something about, sorry, I interrupted, the corporations and junk.
Oh, yes, well, corporations have one singular motivation, is keeping their stakeholders happy, and nothing else matters. So a lot of this stuff um, is handed down from the military to corporations and then down the line to academia. So the end result is given to them. Here, this is a working prototype, have at it. See what you can do with it. This is the vast majority of cases, and any case where the final result is given. So it's not a, let's say, research project to investigate the properties of this and this. No, no, they give something, here you go, make it work. And by the way, who's your client? This major corporation. This is of this nature.
Mhm.
They already have its applications, then they sort of they're willing now to proliferate it so more people can benefit from it. That does happen very frequently.
Yeah, but we want the more secret stuff to be made more accessible. 0 point, clean up the pollution. Some of this is advanced, so it could be used as applications to clean up the hunger, to clean up the pollution, the water,
Yeah.
make this planet great and clean. So there's no hunger, no greed. People aren't starving, people aren't homeless, are not suffering.
Right. Well, that is not a problem of technology. There are more fundamental issues that need to be addressed. The spirit of greed.
Mhm.
This is our problem, where we see this now in the distortion of what the idea of abundance is. Abundance is having free time to do what you love the most. Of course, a certain amount of financial abundance is needed. Yeah, we need to pull our weight and be productive. Of course, that is not the issue. The issue is somebody having more than enough to spend in 10,000 lifetimes, and they still want more to the detriment of everybody else. That is the problem. The problem is the, let's say, enslavement of many through debt,
Mhm.
modern slavery. That is an issue. So it's not all technology. More fundamental changes are required.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter how much technology we have. If there's still that spirit of greed, is going to make the fat cats fatter and the skinny ones skinnier.
Yeah. And also the secrecy, getting rid of that secrecy to make more of this knowledge available so people can ask the right questions for what needs to be released in disclosure. And I think by us doing this work this way, people can ask the right questions because the stuff
I
is
most
there.
certainly hope so. Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
the purpose of this whole thing is to illuminate the nature of reality and what's going on, not just on the surface of us, but below us and above
right.
us as well.
Yes,
And to make this available as knowledge for people to make a difference that this stuff does exist and this is part of the disclosure that needs to come forward as
right,
public
right.
knowledge. It's not going to be from just governments. It's going to be from remote viewers. It's going to be from remote sensors. It's going to be from psionics who look into this stuff and share what they find.
Absolutely. Yes.
Open
So
source.
the intentions are correct. And I most certainly hope that this does have that effect. And even if it reaches the mind of one right person, that is a win.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And thank you for spending almost 4 hours with me doing this wonderful project.
It's an absolute pleasure, and more to come. I look forward to it.
Yes.
I especially enjoy the collaboration when we're both kind of viewing in. It seems to have a much more powerful effect when we're both peering into it. Like, oh, look at that. And then you go, oh, by the way, look at that. And I say, oh my God, yeah, that's right. So more to come. I'm most certainly ready and eager.
I think in this project I was more just the guide, guiding the map, um, because you're very gifted and you're talented. I've done a lot of remote viewing and sharing data. So I did for this project, I wanted to focus more on your gift and ability to sense what's there, but I'm certainly willing to where we both look at it and both give what we sense is there. Like if you find what you want to collaborate on that scale, like on the maps and stuff, invite me and I'd be happy to.
Sure, sure thing, sure thing.
Mm. Thank you so much.
It's an honor. As always, I'm delighted to be in your presence. Thank you for everything. And also, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas and Happy New Year.
And to you. Thank you very much. So be well. More to come, to be continued.
Definitely.
Thank you
Blessings.
so much. Take care. Thank you very much. Have a
You,
great, great day. Take care.
you too. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.